Hello, it's the first day of May 2023. We are hoping you're having a great start to the month from wherever you are watching us from. Thank you so much for choosing us to bring you up to speed with the latest in the world of sports, business, politics, and much more. But first, let's have a look at the highlights. Tonight, initial findings from the post-mortem exercise conducted by government pathologist Dr. Johansen Odwor on bodies exhumed from Shakahola revealed that the majority of the deceased had indications of starvation and blue fingernails.
The team here assures the people of Kenya that we don't expect to take more than 1 week to be able to discharge examination of all the 110 bodies,
implying that victims were deprived of oxygen prior to their death. The planned protests by the opposition will start from 6 in the morning Tuesday, with opposition leader Raila Odinga reiterating that the anti-government protests were supported by the constitution.
We are basically demonstrating to present our petitions to respective authorities.
As President William Ruto asked the Raila-led team to embrace bipartisan talks in Parliament. And tonight we tell you a story about a family that successfully traced its origins over 200 kilometers away. Well, good evening once more. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Rhoda Nyamai. Our chief government pathologist Johansen Odwor has confirmed that they have conducted a post-mortem exercise on 10 bodies out of the 110 bodies lying at Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary that were exhumed at Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County. Our 2 bodies have shown signs of strangulation, while 8 showed signs of starvation. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki says investigations into the entire Shakahola tragedy is ongoing. Chepto Boit kickstarts this bulletin tonight.
After days of exhumation, the post-mortem process officially started today at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital. Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odwor says they have conducted post-mortem on 10 bodies out of 110 that were found buried in shallow graves in Shakahola Forest, Kilifi County. According to a report by Odwor, 8 of them died of hunger while 2 children died of asphyxiation, which means the state or process of being deprived of oxygen.
When you look at the body, they were starved as the rest. However, when you look at the fingernails, they were bluish. When you see bluish fingernails, it's an indication that this person, when he or she died, was not getting enough oxygen into the body.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki says the process is expected to take a week long, a statement that has been reiterated by the government pathologist.
Don't expect to take more than 1 week to be able to discharge examination of all the 110 bodies which are in this mortuary.
DNA is not a process whereby you just march today and tomorrow you're going to say, voila, this is the test. It's a process. So it might not take 1 day or 2 days. It might even take 1 month.
Kindiki says the process of exhumation that had been halted due to heavy rains might continue soon. Currently, Chakama settlement, which has been marked as a crime scene, is under police surveillance.
That process cannot continue. It would interfere with the evidence as well as the samples that are being retrieved from the graves. Therefore, I want to confirm that that exercise of exhumation will continue as soon as the weather improves.
However, the interior boss says they shall take a while to tell the world if indeed the allegations of organ harvesting are true.
If any of our people have their organs missing, we'll tell the world. There is nothing we are hiding. That is the truth. And we'll have to find out why those organs are missing, who took them, and where. And therefore, this is a long and protracted process of accountability.
Kilifi Governor Gideon Mung'aro has called upon Kenyans to give the pathologists ample time as they conduct postmortem.
Kila mwenye habari, ama wakiona mtu ambaye ametoka kwa msitu, ama wale ambao walikuwa wanatumiwa kuhujumu hawa watu wengine, wapeane habari polisi. Kuna polisi wa kutosha huko, hakuna mtu atadhulumiwa.
Chepto Boyd, TV 47.
Out to politics, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has announced that the anti-government protest scheduled for Tuesday at 6 in the morning will still take place, arguing that it is their constitutional right despite the National Police Service declaring the protests illegal. Now, the police cited criminal incidents such as destruction of property, arson and robbery during previous protests. However, Raila has called on his supporters to be peaceful during the demonstrations. Moige William tells us more.
Monday, shortly after the president led Kenyans in marking Labor Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Azimio leader Raila Odinga vowed to proceed with the anti-Kenya Kwanza protest. Raila's reiteration following calls from different quarters to have the protest called off and give room for bipartisan talks. President William Ruto and the National Police Service have both cautioned the destruction of property will not be condoned. Ruto earlier stating that Raila and team had been offered an avenue to air their issues through a parliamentary avenue as earlier agreed on.
Tomorrow's demonstrations are going to be peaceful. Nobody is allowed to carry any weapon. Nobody should try to interfere with anybody's private business. We are basically demonstrating to present our petitions to respective authorities.
Raila has maintained that the right to peaceful demonstration is a right within the constitution and their Tuesday planned protest will be peaceful. The opposition chief says they will proceed to submit petitions to different offices within Nairobi, among them the country's poll agency IEBC.
The only violence and destruction of property that have taken place during our activities are when the police invade our marches and when Gachagua's hired goons to invade the Kenyatta family farm and stole sheep and cut down trees.
The National Police Service, in a statement signed off by the Deputy Inspector General of Police Noor Gabu, termed the planned demonstrations unlawful, adding that the previous protest opened the doors to criminal incidents such as robbery, looting, injuries meted on police officers, and in some cases, deaths were recorded. President Ruto had warned that the government will not tolerate destruction of property, with sentiments from some quarters agreeing.
Wewe unakuja na goons na wahuni 1,000, 2,000 wanakuja wanasambaratisha ile biashara ya ule mungwana, wanakuja wanaharibu kioski ya watu, wananyang'anya watu mali. Hiyo will not happen in Kenya. Good people, please, tuelewana mapema.
President ako na ruhusa kutoka kwetu ya kutumia ile force yote anaweza tumia kudeal na Raila Odinga, akwende Bondo, asiache kusumbua sisi.
Tunaomba vyenye serikali ilikuwa imesema waweze kuongea na hawa watu ya Azimio, waweze kuongea na upinzani, waweze kusikizana, sababu Kenya ni yetu zote.
Wakati sisi tulikuwa primary schools, Raila Odinga alikuwa anafanya hii kazi. Sasa hii tumekuwa mbunge, Raila Odinga anafanya hiyo kazi, lazima aambiwe akome.
Azimio is planning to present a petition to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, showing that the past general elections results were doctored and demand an audit of the servers, also petitioning the IEBC against the sacking of 4 commissioners. Azimio also plans to present a petition to the office of the president in relation to the high cost of living. Moige William, TV 47.
Let's cross over to our special coverage of the Labor Day celebrations.
Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha, kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa.
Now, politics dominated Labor Day celebrations as it was marked today and led by President William Ruto, who says he will not allow the Azimio demonstrations to bring the country to a standstill. The president has vowed to not let the protesters affect businesses. Here's our reporter Flora Lemuki with more.
Wanafanya ulinzi wa kila aina.
With the Azimio Brigade expected to resume its mass protest, leaders have castigated the move, saying it will cause economic instability. This comes amid stalemate that threatens to completely deal a death blow. The ongoing talks by the 2 major coalitions to solve the country's political quagmire.
Tuongee bunge, wabunge waongee, watafute masava, watafute hiyo ingine, watafute nini kule bungeni. Lakini kwenda kuharibu biashara ya mwananchi,
The Azimio people have been given a chance, but they have instead decided to go back to the streets. What they must know, because I saw them pen a letter yesterday saying that the president should allow them to go to the streets. President William Ruto on 13th of September took the Bible before God and the people of Kenya and swore to protect and uphold the Constitution. One of his responsibilities in upholding the Constitution is to protect life and property.
This even as Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua requested Central Organization of Trade Union COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli to persuade ODM leader Raila Odinga to acknowledge William Ruto's presidency.
Wanakuja wanasambaratisha ile biashara ya ule muungwana. Wanakuja wanaharibu kioski ya watu. Wananyang'anya watu mali. Hiyo will not happen in Kenya. Good people, please, tuelewana mapema.
We avoid this issue of maandamano. I'm not competent to advise you. I'm not competent to advise Raila Amolo Odinga, who is my brother-in-law. He started politics at the age of 14. Whom am I to advise him?
Atwoli, who was once a close ally of Raila, advised workers to boycott the protest organized by the opposition leader that have been scheduled for Tuesday.
The several times the Azimio people were in the streets, there was no demonstration. It was destruction of property, looting of private property, killing people, and injuring others.
Security. Asante sana kwa kazi nzuri mnafanya.
Politics took center stage at the 58th Labor Day celebrations, a day set aside to celebrate the Kenyan workforce as leaders called on the Azimio Brigade to call off the mass protest in a bid to protect Kenyan businesses. Flora Limuki, TV47, Uhuru Gardens.
Well, moving on, President William Ruto has put emphasis on agriculture, the promotion of exports, loans to boost SMEs, digital jobs, as well as housing, as his priority to fight the rising rate of unemployment in the country. Speaking during this year's Labor Day celebrations held at Uhuru Gardens here in Nairobi, the president suggested the export of labor as a way of ensuring Kenyans get jobs to sustain themselves. This as COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli pleaded with the president to increase workers' minimum wage. Mike Kagongo was on that beat.
The 58th Labor Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens here in Nairobi saw President William Ruto attending his first since he was elected President of the Republic of Kenya. President Ruto placing emphasis on agriculture, the promotion of exports, digital jobs, loans to boost SMEs, as well as housing in his bid to create job opportunities for Kenyans.
Tuko na the most important resource in the Republic of Kenya that defines our country, and that is the Kenyan labor force.
The president says his government had set aside 3 billion shillings to build a market in each constituency set to facilitate farmers who want to sell their produce without brokers and middlemen.
Kwa sababu the Kenyan labor force is that important to the development of our country, we must look after it, we must work for it, and we must make it possible for it to grow, expand, and flourish.
This, he said, will improve agricultural activities in the country. The president said the national government had agreed with devolved units on agricultural aggregation industrial parks per county at a cost of 5 billion shillings. And in his efforts to enable farmers export farm produce, the head of state pledged to promote the country's exports. This as COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli pleaded with the president to ensure a safe working environment for workers. However, the head of state maintained that the issue of minimum wages will be taken to Parliament for discussion, with the aim of benefiting workers on merit after public participation.
Na kwa niaba ya hawa naomba tu, sina nguvu na safari yako kuja kuonana na sisi. Labda next year tutasema kwa vile ulitupatia mwaka jana, hii mwaka ya pili tutakupa kupumzika kidogo kuangalia mambo mengine. Lakini leo tutoke na kitu kidogo kwa mfuko. That one I leave to you, Your Excellency.
Nyinyi kama bunge mutatembelea hawa wafanyikazi wa Kenya wote, walete mchango wao vile wangependa hiyo sera itekelezwe kwa manufaa ya wafanyikazi wote wa taifa letu la Kenya.
President William Ruto maintained that the Ministry of Cooperatives will roll out a program that gives loans to small businesses as a way of boosting SMEs and enabling them to expand. This, he said, will allow them get 10,000 shillings and up to 200,000 shilling loans.
Tumeleta kompyuta 20,000 katika zile TVETs. Sasa tunataka wabunge wetu, tutashirikiana na wao, tuwe na digital hubs in every ward in the Republic of Kenya, so that we can tap into the digital economy and we can move our young people in their millions into digital jobs.
The president has further said that his plan is to build 200,000 houses annually, which he argues will create employment for over 1 million youths as plumbers, carpenters, masons and others.
Mpango ya housing sio nyumba peke yake tunatafuta, hapana, tunatafuta pia ajira ya hawa vijana. Kwa sababu na hiyo ndio muhimu hata kuliko ile nyumba tunajenga. Kwa sababu tusipopanga ajira ya hawa vijana, watakuwa wanatungojea barabarani.
Nairobi County has already seen construction of 40,000 affordable houses.
Now, the 58th Labor Day celebrations leave Kenyan workers with high hopes that the Kenya Kwanza government will look into their needs. In the next 5 years, Dr. William Ruto will be on the wheels as the president. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
Our President William Ruto has announced the reduction of monthly contributions for low-earning Kenyans from 500 shillings to 300 shillings. According to the head of state, the changes, which will be effected in the month of July, aim at promoting equitable contributions, with every Kenyan contributing 2.7% of their earnings. Zainab Mohammed with more.
And insurance.
Speaking during the 58th Labor Day celebrations, President William Ruto announced changes in NHIF contributions to ensure equitability among contributors. According to the head of state, the current contributions are unfair, especially to the lowest paid workers.
Tumebadilisha the contribution mechanism and the contribution formula. Sasa yule ambaye mlikuwa mnalipa kwa NHIF shilingi 500, sasa tutateremsha chini ikuje shilingi 300 kwa wale mmekuwa mkilipa shilingi 500. Na mimi ambaye ni rais, ambaye nimekuwa nikilipa shilingi 1000, sasa mimi nitalipa shilingi 27,500. Na hao wengine katikati hapo watalipalipa hapo kidogo kidogo namna hiyo, so that we have an equitable contribution mechanism.
Further, Ruto has emphasized on the adoption of a promotive health plan that will focus on the role of community health promoters in achieving universal health coverage. Ruto adding that his government will employ a total of 100,000 community health promoters whose pay will be drawn from contribution from the national government and the respective counties from which they come from.
Almost all the counties already have community health promoters. What we are going to do as national government is to agree with them on how we are going to remunerate these community health promoters. And we are going to share 50-50. Every county that contributes whatever money, we are going to match the money you are contributing, in making sure that we have community health promoters that are going to help us to prevent diseases, to promote health among its citizens in a manner that ensures that we begin from the bottom going up.
The head of state also announced plans to decongest the country's national hospitals by empowering level 3, 4 and 5 hospitals to handle patients with mild sickness. Ruto said this is part of the government's efforts to achieve universal health coverage.
Mpango mzuri ili kila mwananchi apate nafasi ya kuweza kupeleka watu wao wakiwa wagonjwa. Kwanza tuna ile ambayo tunaweza kumalizana nayo kule mashinani, tumalizana nayo. Hakuna haja ya mtu mwenye ako na homa anaenda Kenyatta National Hospital. Homa tunaweza kumalizana naye huko kwa kijiji. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Iko haja ya mtu ya homa aende Kenyatta National Hospital kuleta congestion? Sisi tunamalizana naye mashambani huko nyumbani. Community health promoter, health center, dispensary hapo tunamalizana na hiyo hapo.
Zainab Mohamed, T47.
Now, as the world marked the International Labour Day on Monday, beach management units and local fishermen from the coastal region expressed their disappointment with the government's alleged disregard for their grievances. They are calling for the release of funds intended to support the fishermen who are the main stakeholders in the development of the blue economy. Have a look.
As the International Labour Day celebrations took a center stage in various places in the world, beach management units and local fishermen from the coastal region have found it difficult to make a merry over their work, citing that there is very little to celebrate, with some saying that the government had failed to deliver a kitty meant to support the fishermen.
Kisisi wavuvi tunaona ni kama siku ya kawaida, manake hatujafurahia chochote kutokana na mambo kama hayo. Hali tunakuwa ni ile ngumu tu.
Tunataka kupokea hizo fedha kwa kujiendeleza kiuvuvi, kwa sababu tuko na hii uchumi samawati ambao tumetegemea bahari, kununulia vyombo vikubwa vya kwenda deep sea fishing, maana bado sasa tuko na zile kanu tunafanya local fishing, na hiyo ilipitwa na wakati.
Since the establishment of the association in 2006, the units have been keen to manage marine resources while displaying the potential of the blue economy. Despite the gains made in the sector, they cry foul, alleging that authorities have slowly been turning a blind eye to their grievances.
Na tuko na bahari kubwa, lakini utapata wavuvi wa pwani miaka nenda miaka rudi kutoka enzi za Yesu, wavuvi wa pwani bado ni maskini.
Kimiundombinu, vyombo tunavyotumia sisi hapa katika bahari hii yetu ni hafifu sana. Ni vyombo ambavyo havina mashini, na kule baharini tunapokwenda huko maji makuu huwa tunapata shida sana sometime, yani bahari inaharibika, inakuwa sasa wavuvi sote tunaogelea, unaona chombo kinazama.
Fisheries production in Kenya was estimated at 163.6 thousand metric tons in 2021, while the demand is presumed to have increased due to population growth. For this reason, the fishermen have called for more empowerment, as they have been left to survive with the old and traditional fishing methods which risk their lives.
Upande mwingine wakatuangalia kuhusu kama hiyo misaada kama mashirika yanayokuja. Mashirika yanayokuja, masomo kama vile tunavyoambiwa wavuvi hawakusoma, watuangalie pia angalau watu wachukuliwe wapelekwe kwenye masomo. Ingekuwa ni bora zaidi ili tupate elimu ya kuboresha. Hata hivyo ikiwa blue economy kuja kama hivyo na ikiwa hatuna masomo tutahandle vipi hizi pesa?
At the same time, they have expressed harassment by various state corporations, thus threatening their work efficiency.
Ukamilifu ni kwamba hatuna ule utulivu, kwa sababu kuna sekta nyingi sana zinatunyanyasa hapa katika hii land site ya Bamburi. Hasa kuna wenzetu kama KWS walikaribishwa na wazee wetu hapa na wakaahidi mazuri kutokana na mafanikio ya watoto wao ambao ni sisi, lakini hatujaona kitu hata kimoja, na zaidi wao wamekuwa ni kama wanatunyanyasa upande huu.
In addition to this, they claim that most of their fish landing sites have been grabbed, further calling upon the government to help secure the spots and modernize them.
Mr. Gashagwa aje hapa Bamburi BMU aanze kutatua kesi ya Bamburi kuhusu landing site na title, alafu tunamuomba pia atatue za pwani zote ama za Kenya zote landing site zilizonyakuliwa ziregeshwe kwa BMU wapate kufanya maendeleo, kwa sababu hata kukijadona akiuliza title anasema siwezi kufanya kama hamna hiyo kitu.
To the coastal fishermen, the Labour Day was half complete following the many unfulfilled promises by the government to promote their work efficiency in both land and fishing sites and in the ocean. Paul Munio, TV47, Mombasa, Pirates Beach.
Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha, kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa.
Away from our special coverage of the Labour Day celebrations, let's talk matters regional issues. President William Ruto Monday convened a virtual meeting with the heads of United Nations agencies and other partners to mount a response to the worsening humanitarian crisis in Sudan. The meeting resolved that it is imperative to find ways to provide humanitarian support to the people of Sudan with or without a ceasefire, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
The current deadly fighting in Sudan has seen foreign nationals continue to stream out by land, sea and air. These as the fighting continues in the country, with the rival military factions are battling in the capital despite a supposed ceasefire and foreign states winding down evacuations.
Past 8 days it was continuously bombing and firing and shooting, and there were very few moments of silence, and they never respected the truce.
Hundreds of people have been killed and thousands wounded over 16 days of battle since disputes between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces erupted into conflict on April 15th.
Can't get out. There's no way to get out. We're between the Blue Nile, the White Nile.
The truth is that at the moment, it is almost impossible to provide any humanitarian services in and around Khartoum. There are calls from various organizations and people trapped asking for evacuation. For the past 4 days, people have been out of water, food. Electricity has been rationed, in some places totally disconnected.
Even as little prospect of a quick resolution to the crisis is seen, President William Ruto convened a virtual meeting with the heads of the United Nations agencies and other partners to mount a response to the worsening humanitarian crisis in Sudan.
This informal meeting was just to put our heads together when I spoke to Prime Minister Hamdok. And I agree, we should be able to think beyond the ceasefire.
The meeting resolved that it is imperative to find ways to provide humanitarian support to the people of Sudan with or without a ceasefire. As President Ruto said, water, food and medicines are in short supply internally, and the number of displaced persons keeps rising as many more flee to neighboring countries.
But the same way we managed to evacuate people from the theater, I think there is a way we can access that theater with humanitarian support. So we must think in parallel, both if there will be a holding ceasefire and also if there is no holding ceasefire, what do we do? Because it doesn't take away that there are people in that theater who need humanitarian support.
The leaders have asked warring parties to provide a safe corridor for humanitarian assistance in Khartoum and other affected towns.
Me and my friend trapped in the road because army has started taking over many roads ahead, and they are checking all the vehicles. When we tried to cross to our place, they started raising the gun, then we ran away.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Now back home, some religious leaders from Nakuru have blamed the government for failing to prevent the deaths of innocent Kenyans under the cultic movement of the leader of the Good News International Church, Paul Mackenzie. They have recommended that the control of churches should be implemented by the church unions rather than the government.
The leaders strongly condemned and distanced themselves from the actions of Pastor Paul Mackenzie, stating that it is the primary responsibility of the government and its security agencies to protect the lives and property of its citizens, and that the deaths in Kilifi indicate a failed state.
Mackenzie kama mhubiri alikosea. Nataka tu kukosoa serikali. Alikosea lini? Where was the government? Na inakuaje watu wapotee mpaka 100 na kitu hawaonekane na wanazikwa? Nani anatoanga kibali cha mazishi? Kuna maswali mengi tunataka serikali inatakana iangalie.
They have also suggested that legally registered religious organizations should be given the responsibility of creating an institute to regulate church leadership in the country, rather than the government being given that role, arguing that matters of religion do not concern political issues associated with the government.
Ni ngumu sana kama wewe ni mchezaji wa mpira uanze kumanage washonaji wa nguo, maana huna ujuzi huo. So ni muungano tu wa makanisa unaweza kudhibiti kanisa na kuhakikisha kwamba kanisa hili linafanya kulingana na vile haki ambazo tunasimamia na imani ambayo tunasimamia.
Kama ni sisi, yale makanisa yako ndani yetu tuna regulate, lakini serikali haiwezi kuregulate hao. Na kama one of the member churches wanafanya makosa, sisi wenyewe ndio tunaweza kuita bishop yule na tunamuuliza, why did you do this?
Additionally, they have called on the government to conduct further investigations into those who may continue to fast through corrupt beliefs, while requesting that the media be allowed to operate in the Shakahola area and fulfill their duty of informing the public.
Kwa sababu hao watu tayari ni brainwashed, wanaweza wakawa wanafunga popote walipo sasa, na wanaendelea kufunga na wataongeza zaidi kufunga kwa sababu kiongozi wao ameshikiliwa, na wao watadhani kwa kuendelea kufunga zaidi ndio atafunguliwa. Kumbe tunaendelea kupoteza maisha ya watu wengi zaidi.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
At 20 minutes past the hour, time now for a very short break, but don't go away. We still have that interesting story about tracing one's route. You don't want to miss that. Keep it here.
But I know that meat looks tender, but maybe not so much when your chest is burning. Remember what happened the last time? Hey, dude, you don't listen, man. Are you testing yourself? I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the heartburn? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
What? You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
It has all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
Simply have one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya. Radio 47 tuko nawe mchana kutwa na usiku kucha. Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event.
Hi there, my name is George Washiri Optiven, and I'm very humbled to introduce to you Tulivu Gardens Phase 2. This property is adjacent to Konza Technopolis and only 4 minutes from the highway. This is a property whereby once you purchase it, you preserve your wealth, you build your wealth, you create your investment, create wealth for your generations. Don't miss this lifetime opportunity. Call this number right now, 0790 300 300. Optiven, inspiring possibilities. 23 years of impacting communities.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, tracing one's ancestry and relatives can be a challenging pursuit, as history often remains shrouded in secrecy among people. However, for the family of a 103-year-old Kapenloy Ole Kamamia, it was a triumph of a decade-long search in tracing their kin from Nyeri County to Naivasha. Our very own Willie Dennis Njiru in Naivasha brings us this heartwarming story with a happy ending.
As we embark on a journey that takes us over 200 kilometers from Madera constituency in Nyeri County to Naivasha, Nakuru County, we come across the story of the Ole Kamama's family. The family is on an expedition to trace their father's century-old route to Naipara Jijik village, a rough terrain of over 70 kilometers to the Naivasha-Narok border. After hours of driving, the family finally arrives at their destination, where they are warmly welcomed by their long-lasting siblings. The family is overjoyed to be reunited, and they immediately retreat for roasted beef, commonly referred to as nyama choma, a popular Maasai delicacy.
Na tukutarajia tutapokelewa vile tulipokelewa kwa shangwe, nyimbo za kitamaduni. Tumekaribishwa hapa, mlo tumeandaliwa, mlo ya mwaka. Fikiria appetizer ilikuwa nyama na supu kabla ya kwenda kula chakula nyingine. Sasa hiyo sisi hatutasahau.
Hii ni kuonyesha ya kwamba sisi wote katika karibu Kenya nzima tuko mandugu. We are from the same roots, na tunaporudiana tutashtuka ya kwamba tutakuja kushangaa ya kwamba sisi wote ni ndugu moja.
The history of Ole Kamamia is a fascinating one. Once a famous chief in Maasai land, he left his native home in Madera at a young age with a group of herders who had visited there to fetch food due to prolonged drought in the country.
Kamamia, ari shibo munene, kuma woko wodi naroko, dare naroko ni aruga mi. Na negatene. No ngaragu eta kwa mwanga. Nimoi. Hendeyo embara ya Italiani. Basi hendeyo re. Toari ando anake. Tutiri asuri hendeyo.
Tumekutana na familia ya Kamamia ambao walikuja hapa Padianalok mwanzo wa karne iliyopita, around 1900, na wamekuwa familia ambayo inajulikana. Wamekuwa na kizazi kikubwa, hata naona ni kama wako wengi kuliko wale tulibaki huko Murang'a na Nyeri.
Mzee Kapenloy Olekamamia is one of the 2 remaining sons of the Nyeri son who left home with the herders by abduction. Still retains much of his father's history despite his advanced age.
Andu ana Nyeri materari ni aitu
ithuĩ ciana ciao
ona ithuĩ gũkũ rĩ tũrĩ a kamamia kabisa nĩ kamamia tũciarĩte ithuĩ ũngĩona karũriĩ gaka rĩ
Despite his age, the old man remains humorous and engaging with his descendants, important lessons that have been passed down through generations. Parental blessings from him to an entire generation, numbering over 100 and belonging to the Kamamias family, are considered paramount.
Siku ya leo ni ishara ingine ambayo imeonyesha kabisa ya kwamba watu kweli wametoka mahali moja.
Ngayero iguasa ni muno nindakana niguka kumenya andu anyu kuria moriire tutiorire no guka twokire guku.
The journey of the Olekamamias family serves as a reminder of the importance of family and heritage, the Maasai culture values, the wisdom and the history that the elders carry with them, and the state of the Olekamamias family is a statement to this.
Hii safari tulianzia kama miaka 6 iliyopita. Tumekuwa tukijikakamua tukisema itakuwa ni muhimu tufike hapa, na kwa wakati huo tumepata shida kwa sababu wengine wale tulioanzisha nao wameaga, wametuacha na hawakufika hapa. Kwa hivyo yale ningesema sio rahisi, haiko rahisi sana kufika hapa.
Na ninkwenda antware
Their story serves as an inspiration to many, reminding us that our past is a significant part of our present and future. Reporting for TV 47 from Naiparajijik village, Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Well, thank you very much for that, Willie Dennis Njiru. I'm now joined by a very own sports reporter, Dennis Otieno, to bring us the latest from the world of sports. Dennis, very little, if any, was touched on during the Labor Day celebrations today regarding sports.
Yeah.
But I understand that the current FKF, Football Kenya Federation, has a lot of plans in store. You have something for us on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you know what the football authorities in the country are saying is that every day is Labor Day for the authorities who are in office, because they're always working to improve the state of football in the country.
Yep.
We've seen the FKF president saying that Kenya has put across the bid to CAF to have the 2027 AFCON getting hosted in the country, among many other measures that they've put in place to restore Kenya's lost glory in football. Remember, just a few years back, we were under the FIFA suspension. We just got off that suspension. So there's a lot of work from all the football authorities. You just work in tandem to ensure that Kenya gets back to, you know, where it used to be back in the day before we got into the FIFA suspension. Back in the day, we had so many sponsors, up to 7 sponsors financing football in the country. But right now, we are seeing footballers complaining every day, because this is one of the things that was pointed across during the Labor Day celebrations by the president, saying that some of the laborers complain about their compensation. And we've seen football clubs complaining about, you know, lack of funds, players saying that they've gone, you know, for so many months without being paid their dues. And this is because those 7 sponsors who were there before the FIFA suspension were the ones who were, you know, containing the situation, playing the players. But now, that the Football Kenya Federation is working so much towards rebuilding football in the country. They're definitely looking, to have these measures put in place, bring in the sponsors so that we can have, players very well compensated and have to improve the state of football in the country. So that is exactly why the authorities are terming every day as Labor Day in the world of football and sports in general in the country.
Well, thank you for that. And I understand that a lot is happening behind the scenes to ensure that we firefight, if I can use that, and try and regain our reputation as far as football is concerned. I know a lot is going on, and I'm sure you're going to tell us that. The plans by the Football Kenya Federation president, that is Nick Mwendwa.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
And you know what they say? Too much work without play. And I'm saying
makes
work
Nick a dull boy.
Makes Nick a dull boy. So it is about time we shift focus to matter sports and we take to the fields and talk about everything sporty that has taken shape in the country as well as internationally. A very warm welcome to Primetime Sports. My name is Dennis Otieno. Now let's start off with matters football. Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa is determined to restore Kenya's football glory and upgrade it further as the country slowly recovers from the recently lifted ban imposed on Kenya according to Nick Mwendwa. The top priority task in his in-tray was to attract sponsors, which he so far has brought in two, including giant telco Safaricom and gaming firm Mozart Bet, as he targets to bring more financiers into the sport. Speaking to the TV47 Sports Desk, Mwendwa also noted that FKF is vehement in their bid submitted to the Confederation of African Football over hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, as he pledged the government's commitment to upgrade 5 stadia in the country to international standards to complement the bid. Take a look.
We are going to do Chapadimba now. We have big news for the girls also with Safaricom. You're going to have big good news in the next 1 year. We're just cooking that. I think we'll finalize that. So you will see something big for Starlets and Starlets development. We now have 2 sponsors. We had 7 sponsors before we were disrupted. Now we have 2. And we want to work towards our 7 first. And Safaricom and Mozart Bet is just the start. I think that we will develop this in a big way. Football was set back maybe by 15 years, but we'll move fast. But the other big news, as you have seen, is that as we do grassroots football, we have also attacked our AFCON bid with Tanzania and Uganda. And why did we bid with Tanzania and Uganda is because, one, the AFCON has never been to the East before. We're telling CAF it is the turn of the East to host the AFCON. Of course, they're telling us that we have not developed our infrastructure. But we are saying that we have been given a government guarantee this time by the Minister of Sports in writing solidly that Nyayo and Kasarani and 5 other training pitches will be ready 2 years from today so that we can bid with Tanzania and Uganda. I'm going to meet the presidents of Uganda and Tanzania end of this week. And we are putting together this bid in a very big way. I met the PS yesterday. I've met with the minister. I have the government guarantee. We're preparing this bid. Uganda is very strong. Tanzania is very strong. Africa wants to come to the East, but we have no pitches. We have hotels. We have medical, but we have no pitches. So we want to get our pitches ready, and I have a commitment from this government now that they will do it. I want to try again because I have to keep trying. I have to try again, but I believe this time they're more serious than they've done before.
So many plans put forth by FKF that makes many Kenyan fans excited over what might be once the plans are fully executed by the President Nick Mwendwa, as you've just heard it from him right there. But moving on, FKF Premier League side Bandari FC earlier today announced that it had parted ways with their head coach Anthony Modo Kimani on mutual consent following thorough deliberation by the club's board of trustees. As former Harambee Stars coach Twahir Mohideen was appointed to steer the club until the end of the season. Kimani's dismissal from Bandari FC, which was announced by the club CEO Edwin Oduor in a statement sent to newsrooms, comes only a day after they were knocked out of the Mozart Bet Cup tournament by AFC Leopards in a 3-0 defeat in the quarter-final stage Saturday afternoon. Kimani took over the role at the club from Andre Kasambungo in February last year, where he served as a caretaker manager until August 2022 before being confirmed as the head coach. Meanwhile, Mohideen will have a tough task of turning the club to registering positive results as they currently sit 6th on the FKF Premier League standings, and their next match is against KCB on Wednesday afternoon.
Reputation has received enough hammering, so I think I have to work on restoring first the self-confidence, self-belief, teamwork, the lack of communication.